He's so Vaeni. He's so Vaeni.
Aloha and welcome to He's So Vaeni. That's right, a play on words. Thank you, Joe Gooch. I asked for one of my monkeys out there, one of the listeners, one of the watchers, you monkeys, to come up with a theme for me. And Joe Gooch, who is more man than monkey, so quite frankly, I'm shocked that he answered the call so quickly or at all. But yeah, he scratched his head with his tail and came up with a little jingle. And so thank you, Joe Gooch, for doing that. It is everything I've wanted in a jingle. So am I a sweaty mess? I don't know. I get it. Hard to look at. But I'll give you someone pretty to look at in a minute here. We're going to be talking about Kundalini. I'm going to be reacting to this, I don't know, it's a piece of a larger interview with a man named Abke from the Know Thyself podcast. And this little short clip comes up now, like every time I put on the YouTubes, I get these little shorts that come up, because they're trying to be TikTok now all of a sudden. And so it's a clip from this interview where he's talking about Kundalini. And I think it's like a 59-second clip. Let's see how long it takes me into this clip to stop it and say, no, this is wrong. Oh, but first I should probably qualify why I'm able to say anything on this at all. I said I would do that with these videos, right? As we go along, I will give my qualifications to speak knowledgeably about whatever topic it is. And I hope that you out there in listener watching land, whatever land you're from, give me suggestions, because I've seen this clip, and so I already know what I'm reacting to, and I don't want to know what I'm reacting to. I want fresh reactions. So if you have any ideas, leave them in the YouTube comments section, or write to me, jeremy@ourundoing.com, and give me some suggestions for things having to do with paranormal, spirituality, ufological, cryptozoological, I don't know, whatever. Anything in that realm, mysticism, occult. If you got something you want me to react to, I'll give it a shot. How about that? So for this, we'll be, again, listening to Abke say his thing here about Kundalini. And my qualifications for saying yay or nay on anything about Kundalini is that, believe it or not, because I've already said that I'm an experiencer, right, of quote-unquote alien abductions, which are neither alien nor abduction, but that's a longer story. At some point, I jumped to the shark and also had this spirity stuff happen, which, I've talked about it ad nauseum. I've written books on it. But suffice to say that I live with Kundalini, if that's, to say that sounds like you're living with a disease or something. It's not. But it's just simply, Kundalini and I are fused like two perfumes wafting in the same body. There's something less dramatic. But it's been like this for years, since around 99 or 2000, probably 2000. Probably not 99, probably like 2000, 2001, somewhere in there. 2000, let's go with 2000. That's a nice round number, and it has calendar implications for Christians. I don't know what it has, but I know what I have, and that's Kundalini. So I know all about this. I know what it is not. I generally know what it is, and I'll just keep it there for now. As we go along and I do more, I'll say more. But I think in the interest of this program, I'm going to try to keep everything specific to the video that I'm watching. That way I'm not giving a complete, biographical sketch about all aspects of Kundalini or anything that, I've experienced or have experience with. Okay, let's get to Abke talking about Kundalini, and go.
When you're not wasting your sexual energy all the time, it begins to be used for spiritual ascension.
Okay, let's stop there. When you're not using your sexual energy, it begins to be used for spiritual ascension. Now, I know you're going to believe him over me because he's beautiful. He's made for TV. He kind of reminds me of somebody who's already in movies. Let me think of who that is. Ah, yes. This is the problem with with the New Age and spiritual thing. I often joke about, like, I don't have a man bun, you know, like I don't wear the robes. I don't do the whole get-up thing. The other way to go is just manscape like this guy. I mean, he's beautiful. What are you going to do? So naturally, he's talking about sexual energy. Oh, yeah, he's conserving his sexual energy. Ting! Anyway, sexual energy and Kundalini are often talked about in the same breath. And no. I don't like... well, first of all, they're different things. First of all, there's Kundalini energy, which... let's just say it is a universal energy that when the sense of self is out of the way, when the body sees that projecting the self as a seeker is in the way of that which is sought when it comes to the ultimate answers or truth, or however you want to coin that in spirituality, when the body gets that, when the brain gets that, when the heart gets that, when all of you get that, the sense of self, you, the person you think that you are autonomous in this world, is actually a projection of the body. And that person saying, help me, Obi-Wan, help me, you're my only hope, gets turned off by R2-D2 in your own brain. And when that happens, if there be truth, truth comes to the fore. If there be Kundalini energy comes uncorked, has room to maneuver without you essentially being there to block it out. And that's what, and then Kundalini energy, you know, rises, or apparently arises in the body, and your life changes in myriad ways. I said I wouldn't say everything, so I won't. But just know that there is an energy called Kundalini energy, and this energy can use sexual energy, knows how to use sexual energy. Because one of the things Kundalini does is, I'll just say, it moves the body around. You'll end up doing like Tai Chi, whirling dervish twirls, yogic postures, all sorts of stuff that, I mean, I have no really interest in or knowledge of, but the body does them. Kundalini does them to you. When you're out of the way, Kundalini acts. And this can be mistaken for possession or something like that. It's not. Maybe I'll do a video about that at some point. But just suffice to say that when Kundalini is alive, you're not there. You're not in control, or the will of the self sense recedes and Kundalini will comes to the fore and does these maneuvers. As I say, essentially what it does is it does any unhealthy thing that you've done to damage yourself, Kundalini will like undo and try to make you healthy, you know, whether it be psychic blockages that people talk about or physical or whatever. But it is a perpetual thing. And so it's like it transcends and includes all of these things that people call Kundalini symptoms, or like this guy's talking about you use sexual energy to trigger it. No, you don't. You can't trigger it. You have to be out of the way for Kundalini to be the case in the body. And once it is the case, it is the perpetual case. There is no I turn it on and off. Like all this stuff that you see on YouTube is complete garbage, which isn't to say that his experiences aren't real or those people who talk about these various symptoms aren't having real experiences. It is to say that those things that they say are symptoms of Kundalini could be symptoms of something else, physiological, psychic, whatever it is. These things, I mean, you can, by your own will, as you know, do yogic postures. People do yoga all the time. Is you doing yoga a symptom of Kundalini? Nope. But if the body starts moving around and doing yoga, well, then yeah, maybe. But again, there are no symptoms of this. And so people talk about these things, including yoga, that are after the fact. So one comes alive with Kundalini and, let's say, does a bunch of yoga postures. And if over the years you jot these down, you note their health benefits, you jot them down, you could teach these postures to other people and go, hey, look at that. I've got a system. And there are certain things that Kundalini uses sexual energy for. So the idea that sexual energy is a multitasker is true, but Kundalini, it being the thing that triggers Kundalini, is not one of those things. The Kundalini sexual energy relationship only develops after Kundalini is alive, which means you've got to be out of the way. So all that said, I'm going to back this up and we're going to listen to this again.
When you're not wasting your sexual energy all the time, it begins to be used for spiritual ascension. So when a Kundalini awakening happens, that energy literally starts to be borrowed by your cerebrospinal fluid, and your cerebrospinal fluid starts to bring them up the spine towards the brain.
Okay, I just want to say this. So he's using words here to infer things like spiritual ascension. There's no such thing as spiritual ascension. I know. You probably say spiritual ascension all the time in your daily life. Go ahead. I mean, who's stopping you? I'm just here to tell you that there is no such thing. But to equate theories of spiritual ascension or one's delusional sense that they know that there's such thing as spiritual ascension with Kundalini rising in the body, because ascent, that's a wrong move to make. There is no spiritual ascension. Anyway, I mean, there's literally like, you are there or truth is there. You are a construct of the body, which is time. You're a psychological construct. You're time. You're a thought. Psychological construct is time. You are time. The body is time. When the body gets rid of the self sense by seeing that it cannot understand the timeless, let's put it that way, when this brain of yours, which is of time, is seeking the timeless, the second that it completely understands, not just intellectually because Jer explained it to you through a camera, but when you sit with it and you go, ugh, you have that moment of, it gets it. It gets that it cannot capture the timeless through time, through you, and turns you off. And in that moment, if there is anything, such a thing as the timeless, it will become the case. But since we don't do that generally, since what we do is we deal in our own thought constructs and we talk to each other and we build up imaginal realms and stuff, we build hierarchies and we say, oh, we're ascending spiritually. Well, there is no ascending spiritually. It's an all or nothing proposition. That whole ascending spiritually is a bunch of thought constructs keeping you mired, keeping you in time. So there ain't no timelessness there, which isn't to say they don't have effects and all of that, but it is to say it's not what, it ain't bringing you to anywhere. You think it's bringing you up, it's monkey bars, horizontal. It's all thought constructs. You're just monkey barring. Hey, monkeys are coming up a lot in this. Let me just back it up a little for my own sanity.
Bring them up the spine towards the brain. And then this is where Amrita comes in, where after enough time in the brain, you'll start to experience a fluid dripping down the back of your throat. So it's literally this energy that Kundalini starts moving upwards that is upgrading your nervous system to a higher frequency level, to a fourth density level.
Wait.
Density level. And that's
to a fourth density level. I'm feeling dense just listening to this. Amrita. Amrita? I don't know. It sounds like postnasal drip to me. The idea that Kundalini energy is just about the nervous system, is about fluids, is about, just a physiological process, or the way that he is treating it, it also strikes me as like, okay, this is some sort of scientific thing that science doesn't talk about, so pseudoscientific thing, that I'm going to teach you about that you can use. We want to keep this Kundalini thing divorced from us, and we want to be in control of it because we are on spiritual ascension mission, right? We want to get to that other density or whatever. And so this is how we keep the illusion going. The illusion is that I exist, I am spiritually evolving, I'm activating Kundalini, I'm using these tools, and in order to do that, I guess you have to come up with sort of a backstory to Kundalini as in this case, sort of biological process or marriage of biological process and, Kundalini energy rising somewhere in there. But it's not. It's so much more than all that. It transcends and includes all of that when this person imagining is not there to imagine it.
And that's why people who go through a Kundalini awakening, psychic powers start to awaken usually. The heart chakra powers of empathy and really potent intuition, that just starts happening for people. The only reason that you're able to have those psychic abilities is because your nervous system has been upgraded.
I love it when people use upgrade. Upgrade, download to describe spirituality. Matrix. It's not upgrading anything. What it is again, the damage that you have done within, which can be holistically, I'm talking about here. It can be damaged either physically or psychically or whatever, or these things that we are blocking out are what full potential or full natural state of being that we sort of repress into this, westernized construct of a mind here. All of these things, whatever is real, will come alive to the extent that they can, period. So it's not upgrading you, it's just turning you on, man. You should like that. You're all about the sexual energy, dude.
So that's really what Kundalini is. It's a neurobiological transformation that takes place in response to putting a demand spiritually.
It takes what? Putting a demand spiritually. I demand. I of the white privilege command you, Kundalini. Do my bidding. So I've seen the longer interview of this too. And I won't play it here, obviously, but I do want to say something about that. If you end up watching the longer video, I'll put a link to this short in the thread, and then maybe that'll bring you to Know Thyself podcast page. You can find the longer interview there. In the interview, he talks about these events that he's having, these sort of experiences, and he's not sure what they are. But somehow he hears the word Kundalini or comes across the word Kundalini. He's like, I wonder if it's that. So he starts looking into it, doing the research. But the research that he cites is like, message boards, like Reddit forums and stuff. And sees other people are having these symptoms too. And they're calling it Kundalini. It must be Kundalini. There's often with these types of online guru guys who seem to know way too much about something in a way that has really nothing to do with it, they do this thing where they mix up what their actual experience is with what they've learned, with what they then claim they know about it. And all of these get mixed into one mush where you're supposed to, I guess, sort of have immediate amnesia about the fact that the only experiences he said he's had are these sort of upfront experiences that he was confused about. He looked to other people for answers, and lo and behold, Reddit's got the answer. So the answers that he's presenting, including this little snippet here, don't come from his direct experience, obviously. He doesn't know anything about this. He's just saying this. He read this somewhere or heard it, and now he's able to articulate it. And if I give him the benefit of the doubt, it's because he did have, these original experiences, he gained a context for them, and now he's read more, and now he can, be a pseudo scholar or a pseudo master of this and go on shows and talk about it. But none of that is actually Kundalini. Kundalini is not to be learned about. It doesn't care about your knowledge. Knowledge, in fact, gets in the way. The person who is a thought construct, knowledge also thought construct, is in the way. And so knowledge does not lead you to Kundalini experiences. And neither do these so-called symptoms, nor do they add up to a Kundalini event. He talks, I'm just trying to remember what he talks about. I mean, some things are physiological, like, oh, I feel hot and cold in my legs or something. It's like, yeah, well, maybe you're having hot flashes, dude. Who knows? Or maybe there is some sort of weird psychic event that you've stumbled into or something, you know what I mean? But like, to say that because you then looked and saw that other misinformed people were saying, oh, it's Kundalini. Let's put it this way. Do you really trust someone who just went to a Reddit forum and not say, I don't know, old Indian texts? Like, if you're going to do studying, why not go to the source? But there's just something ick to me, whether their experiences are real or not originally, about people who become these masters of knowledge about a subject that they seem all too eager to reduce down to, like in this case, sort of material processes or jargon. Remember when like spirituality wasn't a dirty word? Like when you were a spiritual seeker, it was because you legit had a hole that you were trying to seek the meaning of. Like you felt it. You felt like something was missing, and you had this yearning to find the truth. And now, like even being a spiritual seeker is sort of a dirty word in a sense, because you're supposed to immediately be like a master. You're supposed to immediately, and there is no such thing as a spiritual master, but you know what I mean? Like you're immediately supposed to like do a weekend retreat and then get a certificate and come back and teach it and make money off it, right? Like this is the American version of spirituality, folks. You feel hot and cold tingles in your body. You go, huh, that's Kundalini. And then you go read about it and other people are like, oh yeah, that's Kundalini. All self-reinforce. And then they go, oh, I don't want any judgments. I don't want anyone to say that this isn't what I say it is because I need it to be true so that I can sell it to you. But just think about this. Like the thing that he's talking about here, Amrita or whatever, it rises, it becomes this fluid in your brain. It drips down the back of your throat. You gargle it. It's good for your soul. I don't know what. What does that have to do with your life? Like, what does that have to do with spirituality? What does that have to do with seeking? That's the kind of thing that is, I think, indicative of our times. Just like I joked about saying download or upload or upgrade or whatever it is, the matrix. These sorts of terms it's more indicative of the times we live in, where we need something we can sink our science brain into, even if it's pseudoscience. The logical, rational piece of us, because we're told now, essentially in this day and age, to sort of like worship or whatever, logic and reason. That logic and reason is the thing to aspire to be, the most rational person you can be. And so we need some sort of rational anchor within this stuff for it to be real. And we don't really care about like subtext and parables and metaphor, anymore. We don't care to have to do any of the work. Ain't nobody got time for no Zen koan. We want to know the answer, right? We want the instruction manual. And stuff like this smacks of an instruction manual. Like, you need it to be real first before you will ever experience it. Right? And like, there is that element of fear there too. Like, I need to know, I need something to cling on to materially that I can wrap my head around. Oh, it's an energy that, when you turn off sexy time with your partner, it starts using that sexual energy and it rises up your spine and then it meets at the brain and then the brain dumps some juice down your throat and it goes into your belly and then your belly's like, ooh, look at me, I'm dancing. And I guess you can wrap your mind around that and then decide whether you want that for yourself. And then you do whatever. I don't know if I haven't looked into him. I don't know if he's selling a course or what, but whatever, you end up buying the program or whatever it is and trying to sugar pill your way into feeling like it worked. Or, on the off chance that something about it is stolen from or borrowed from something authentic of the hierarchies that we have built, the inauthentic hierarchies, which do have authentic effects, that there is something of that in there. So you go, oh, yeah, I do feel something. Oh, that must be my Kundalini, It's like... We'll do everything and anything to hide from ourselves, especially those of us who claim that we're looking for truth, because we don't want truth to transcend and include us. We want to transcend and include truth. We want to attain it for ourselves as we move forward in life. And with Kundalini, it's even worse than that, because Kundalini has the promise of like powers and stuff, and it's still got that mystical edge to it. Mainly because nobody knows what the hell they're talking about. Or very few do, I should say. And I will, in the future, show, I'll do a reaction video to maybe a couple of videos of people who I find to be authentic with the Kundalini and show you the difference. Like when they're, quote unquote, meditating. There are a couple of videos I've seen. One is of I don't know, was it an ashram? I don't know what it is, but some sort of place in India where it's like a group of people. And I think some of them are legit, at least potentially in Kundalini mode, and some of them are faking it or delusional or whatever. So it's easy to see in that video, and maybe I'll play that for you at some point. But it's also easy to watch those videos and then fake, right? Even for yourself. But these are the things that we do. The only thing that you can do, really, to not fall for this stuff, if you care at all, is to be completely conscious of your motivations as they are coming up. Not as an after fact, not you look back on your behavior and go, oh, why did I get angry that time? Or, oh, why did I, whatever. But in the moment, as they arise, as you're doing things, I mean, even as however you're feeling about me in this video, whether you find me frustrating or angering or what a joy to listen to. I don't know why that, but whatever it is, as you're watching this, ask yourself, what is triggering however I feel about this? And maybe keep peeling away at, okay, so it's because I feel this way because he reminds me of this, or because he's saying this, or because he's saying it in this way. Well, what is it about one of those particulars, whichever particular applies to you, what is it about that would trigger anything at all? Oh, well, because, And just keep trying to peel away the layers of that onion and see where it goes. That's my advice, if I had any advice. Not that you asked. But I certainly wouldn't worry about conserving your sexual energy. But I hope that makes sense to you. Somewhere in there, I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, I'll try again. I'm probably going to just turn the camera off, and then it'll be like, oh, yeah, I should have just said duh. And, but I didn't say duh. Instead, I said duh. That's what you get when you watch He's So Vaeni. All right, I'll see you next week.
He's so vain.